Hey guys, it's Chris and welcome back to another WandaVision video. Episode 3 released last night and it's getting a little more clear as to what the hell is going on. Now, I'm really enjoying this show and it got a lot better in episode 3, I think, for, I would imagine, most people. But what I worry about this show is if you're not a huge Marvel Comics fan and you're not familiar with some of the backstories, particularly the House of M comic series and all that kind of stuff, as well as all the other offshoots of Hydra, AIM, etc., and you're just not familiar with all that, I think it could be a little bit confusing for people, but I think they're moving along pretty fast to kind of get past that stage, so I'm really digging it so far. And the one thing about the show is every single thing they say, everything in the background, everything is a clue as to what's going on, but again, you won't catch those references if you're not familiar with some of the comics. So let's jump in and talk about it, but first, a shameless self-promo. I wanted to mention my upcoming fantasy novel, The Crimson Gods, is up for pre-order now on Indiegogo. I have a campaign running to pay for all the professional editing, book cover design, all that kind of stuff as well, so that is up and live. So if you enjoy a medieval fantasy with perhaps a little bit of a dark fantasy twist, be sure to check that out. The link will be in the description below. Anyway, we open up in this episode and we are now in the 70s, and it looks like this whole thing is taking place over about a day or maybe a couple days, although now we've already jumped 3 decades. We see it open up very much like the Brady Bunch and several other shows kind of combined, but the set was definitely the Brady Bunch this time, almost identical again, like episode 1, I believe, was the Dick Van Dyke Show. And if you're old enough to remember some of these shows, they are spot on with the comedy and all that stuff as far as how these shows were back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, etc. So they're really doing a good job with all the little details. I mean, everything from every little costume to, you know, what's on the wall to the sets, the writing and the comedy are all exactly how these shows were. So I do appreciate that aspect of it. In this episode, Wanda is pregnant, as we saw last episode, but she is now even more pregnant. This thing is taking place in literally 12 hours or something. Even, Vision points this out that, well, the babies are at 9 months too early. I also want to mention, too, about the intro. We saw the intro again with all these hexagons, and hexagons are synonymous with AIM. And I mentioned this in the previous video about AIM. This is Advanced Idea Mechanics, and originally they were an offshoot of Hydra in the comic books. They were originally a group trying to take over the world with technology, but in the MCU, if you remember back to the Iron Man movies, this was the group responsible for the extremist drug that some people took to become soldiers, where they would sometimes spontaneously explode if they couldn't handle the serum. And then, of course, along that, we have another Hydra commercial. This was more of the Calgon, Take Me Away from the 70s and 80s. I remember these commercials like it was yesterday. That's all you ever saw on the damn TV was Calgon, Take Me Away, and this was Hydra Soak. So it looks like they're kind of combining these storylines. So AIM is going to be a part of Hydra. It looks like in the original comics, but I don't think they're going to stick to the comics directly as far as all the little details. Anyway, we see people starting to wake up and realize this is an actual real town. Westview is a real town. Westview is pretty interesting. That's definitely a classical suburb name, but Westview, WV, is also for Wanda and Vision. So they use everything. They play on all these words, and everything in it is a damn clue. We see the neighbor over there cutting through the damn wall when Vision goes outside. Obviously, this is kind of a reference to trying to break out of the prison. We have the doctor coming over as well. He decides not to go on vacation after she gives birth to her 2 kids. And he simply says, sometimes this town's hard to escape. And of course, Vision himself, because of all this, is starting to question things. But every time he does, every time he kind of steps over those boundaries of saying something's wrong here, something's not right, either Wanda or somebody controlling Wanda kind of resets the time or whatever. Now, the last time she obviously did it with the beekeeper who came out. That was the other thing I meant to mention as well. I did mention that in the previous video. The beekeeper suit was another shout out to AIM, I believe, because they wore these suits that kind of looked like beekeeper suits. So I think that's what that was. But I definitely believe now that Wanda's not in complete control. I do obviously think she's made up this world, and mostly she is controlling it. We saw when she was going through her labor pains. So subconsciously, she's changing things as well. But I believe there's something else going on here. I don't necessarily know if she's the one who kind of reset time when Vision started to question things, or if that was somebody like Agatha Harkness, who we know that is the neighbor. She will be that character for damn sure, and I believe she's one of the people trying to keep her in this matrix. We had Geraldine / Monica come over. This is Monica Rambeau, who is the grown-up daughter of Captain Marvel's friend from the movie Captain Marvel. And it looks like the way this world works, this actual location that we know of now, once you go into this kind of reality, you kind of of forget who you are. So she's struggling to kind of keep up with what the hell's going on too. But she is there to pull Wanda out, or at least get to her in some way, shape, or form. And that's why Agnes was so worried about her being in there alone with Wanda. Now, I don't know exactly what they're going to do with the big bad, whether that is just Hydra or AIM or some combination of both, but there's certainly references to Mephisto as well. This is the Marvel equivalent of the devil, and originally in this comic series, he actually wanted her to have children. It's all for the children. But the comic series gets a little bit too complicated, so I don't think they'll completely go this route, but Mephisto is basically a devil character who wanted her to have 2 children that essentially carry the souls of demons. So I don't think they'll go that route, but there's something tied into it there. It could just be shout-outs to the classic comics. We'll see where they go, but I certainly don't believe anymore that Wanda is in complete control. She's definitely being trapped here with the help of Agatha Harkness and whoever she's working with, because we did see her brooch this time as well. We saw 3 different individuals on it, and one has a scythe, so that could be like her, Mephisto, and somebody else. What is clear now is that some of the people in this town are actually people that live in this real town, but now they're kind of forced to live in this dream world in TV land. So she has her 2 kids, Billy and Tommy. Now remember, the doctor could only hear 1 heartbeat, and they were arguing over the name, Billy or Tommy. So I think Wanda, in that case, subconsciously created another kid. Now, of course, this will be the twins, Wiccan and Speed. Now, I won't get into those characters so much right now. They are pretty big characters in the Marvel Universe, and they will probably end up being the Young Avengers. So we'll see if we get an offshoot series at some point, the Young Avengers. I'm sure at some point they'll go that route, kind of to replace the old cast or whatever, but they're definitely going to be big characters in the Marvel Universe. The other thing I wanted to say really quickly about the children is that I believe the part where she had the butterflies when they were putting together the baby's nursery was the butterflies came to life, and she literally said, "Oops, I didn't mean to do that if I did." I believe that was probably Wiccan from the womb. Just shows you how powerful he really is. But my favorite part of this episode was when Geraldine was over and she started to realize, wait a minute, what the hell is going on? Who am I? She can't quite remember. She knows she's there on some mission, but she's not remembering who she is. And then they're looking at the twins, and she says, "I was a twin." And Monica straight up says, almost in a moment of reality that hit her, "He was killed by Ultron." And right before this, Wanda herself was singing to the twins in Sokovian. So now some reality is starting to seep through. People are starting to realize something's not quite right about this place. And of course, this brings her over to say, wait a minute, what did you just say? When she mentioned the whole Ultron thing with Quicksilver, and that makes her start to question who the hell she is, going along with Agatha outside, asking Vision, is she in there alone with her? She's not from here. She doesn't have a home. This reality kind of smacks Wanda in the face, and she realizes, wait a minute, who are you? And wants to get her out of there so she can maintain this illusion of having this perfect American family in this perfect American neighborhood or whatever with the love of her life, Vision, who is obviously dead from Endgame. So then at the end of this episode, we see the aspect ratio change from 4:3 to 16:9 again. As we see Wanda kick Geraldine out of this reality, she goes flying out of the Matrix, and we do see this is a physical location. But you also see Wanda lie to Vision here, and she's becoming more of a darker character. Now, I don't think she'll go full bad guy or something like that. I do think she's trying to resist this to keep this perfect dream alive for her and her love, Vision. But we do see it's a physical location. Westview is a real town, essentially, that's been taken over. And outside, of course, all the SWORD agents rush up to her. So this is an actual physical location. They are monitoring this, trying to get her out of there. So someone else is definitely behind the scenes there, working with Hydra, whoever it may be, to keep her in this illusion. Or if we go back to the comics, it could be someone like Mephisto trying to use her children for his own nefarious ends. And you can click right over here for writing advice videos, and click right over here for more videos as well. And if you dig what I do here, please give these videos a like, comment, and a share. And do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I drop a new video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.